Thor, the god of thunder, a being who's battled titans, gods, and monsters across the 9 realms, suddenly finds himself stripped of allies, far from Asgard, and surrounded by a brutal species known only for one thing: the hunt. This isn't Earth. This isn't even Sakaar. This is Yautja Prime, the homeworld of the Predators, a hostile, savage planet where only the strongest survive. And now, Thor is the ultimate prey. But here's the twist. The Predators didn't come for Earth. They came for him. They've studied him. They've planned for him. And now, they're ready to test their strength, not against a man, but against a god. Can Thor's divine power and unbreakable will endure against creatures bred for warfare, stealth, and slaughter? Will Mjolnir or Stormbreaker even respond on this alien soil? Or will Thor, for the first time, truly face extinction? Get ready for an epic clash between mythology and sci-fi, honor and survival, thunder and blood. This is more than a crossover. This is a war between worlds. Thor had felt many kinds of silence before. The silence before a battle. The silence after a funeral. Even the silence of space. But this silence? This was different. It wasn't peaceful. It was watching. His eyes snapped open. He wasn't in New Asgard. He wasn't even in any part of the known galaxy. He was strapped to something metallic, cold, humming with a strange energy. And worse, he couldn't feel Mjolnir. Not Stormbreaker. Nothing. His weapons were gone. The air was heavy, almost alive. Something primal clawed at the back of his mind. The instinct of a warrior. He was being hunted. Then came the sound. A low clicking. A growl. Movement in the shadows. He'd heard tales. Whispers from galactic outlaws and refugees. Stories about a race of creatures who didn't conquer planets. They collected trophies from the strongest beings in the universe. The Yautja. The Predators. And now they had captured a god. Thor broke free from his restraints with a thunderous roar, lightning flaring from his veins out of instinct. But something was wrong. The power surged and then sputtered. No storm. No control. This place drained him. The room pulsed with unfamiliar energy. Not magic. Not science. Something ancient and brutal. A biosphere designed to keep its prey off balance. Disoriented. Vulnerable. A steel wall hissed open. Heat. Humidity. A jungle. Not Earth's. Not any he'd seen. Trees that breathed. Skies with 2 suns. Insects the size of hounds. The planet was alive and hostile. Behind him, the ship vanished. No crew. No ship. Just jungle. And then he saw them. Or rather, he almost did. Movement too fast. Camouflage flickering. They were watching. Studying. Tracking. Predators. They weren't here to negotiate. Not to interrogate. This wasn't a prison. It was a hunting ground. Thor charged forward anyway, instincts roaring. He summoned the call to Stormbreaker. Nothing. His hand remained empty. He tried to fly, stumbled. This wasn't just power loss. Something was cutting off his connection to the cosmic forces he'd wielded for centuries. That's when the first attack came. A plasma bolt shot past him, scorching a tree trunk. Another hit a stone near his leg, exploding into molten shards. Thor ducked, rolled, and then screamed with laughter. "Is that it?" he roared into the trees. "You abduct a god and shoot from the shadows like cowards." No response, just silence. He kept moving, deeper into the jungle, through rivers that sizzled with acid, past skeletons of creatures 10 times his size, all hunted, all defeated. Thor's breathing grew heavier, not from exhaustion, from confusion. His body, built for war, began to feel mortal, as if this world was adjusting to him, studying his biology, weakening him in waves. These hunters weren't just smart, they were scientific and patient. Then another sound. Behind him, he spun, catching a blur of movement midair. A net nearly invisible slammed into his chest, laced with searing energy. It coiled, constricted. He screamed as it tightened, slicing into his skin, draining more of his power. From the trees, something descended. 7 feet tall, armored, masked, dreadlocked, holding a retractable spear that glowed with blood-red runes. A predator, not hiding now, This one wanted him to see. Thor, panting, bleeding, eyes blazing, smiled through the pain. "So, you finally show your face." The creature tilted its head, then roared, a sound that made the trees shake. But Thor was already moving. With a guttural yell, he channeled what little lightning he could and blasted the net apart. Smoke rose from his chest. His arms trembled. But he stood, unarmed, outnumbered, isolated, but not broken. "You think this is the first time I bled?" he growled. The Predator lunged. Thor dodged, slammed a fist into its side. The armor absorbed most of it, but the force knocked it back. Thor charged, grabbed the spear midair, twisted, and snapped it in two. The Predator paused, regarded him, then laughed. Not mockingly, respectfully. This wasn't a hunt. This was a test. And Thor had passed the first. But the jungle began to shake. More roars. More cloaked heat signatures emerging from the trees. 10, maybe 12. Different sizes, different armor, different weapons. But all of them marked with glowing symbols. All of them elite. Thor realized something. He wasn't on this planet by accident. This wasn't a random hunt. The Predators chose him, not just to kill him, but to see if a god could become one of them. The Yautja didn't hunt randomly. They didn't waste their time on the weak. Every target was chosen with purpose, a pattern, a ritual, a legacy. And Thor? He was their white whale. For years, the Predators had been watching, not just Earth, but everything around it. Their technology could monitor star systems, track interdimensional tremors, analyze power surges from across galaxies. And every time Thor unleashed his wrath, whether against Hela, Thanos, or Gore, the Yautja noticed. He wasn't just another powerful being. He was a living anomaly, a god who could summon storms, a warrior who could survive neutron stars, a being with power that bent cosmic law. But most important of all, he fought with honor. And to the Predators, that meant everything. Their species didn't hunt for sport. They hunted to prove dominance, to rise in their caste, to earn markings, to ascend into legend. But honor was sacred. It was written into their bones. A dishonorable kill brought shame. A clean, worthy kill that earned immortality in their culture. So what happens when a race of alien hunters, obsessed with honor and strength, discovers a lone thunder god ripping apart titans in distant galaxies? They don't just study him. They worship the challenge. The Council of Elders, ancient Yautja, whose skull masks were etched with thousands of victories, decreed it. Bring him. Not to Earth, not to their ships, but to Yautja Prime, the sacred world. The ultimate arena. No guns from afar. No cheap tricks. A god would be hunted the right way. But not everyone agreed. Among the younger-blooded hunters, Thor wasn't just prey. He was a symbol. If one of them could defeat him, they would become more than warriors. They'd become legendary. So they trained for months, studied his fights, his weaknesses. They built environments to simulate his energy fields, crafted weapons forged in black hole cores. Even the jungle he woke up in was custom-grown to destabilize Asgardian magic. Thor wasn't the first god they'd faced, but he was the first who might win. And deep within the mountain caverns of Yautja Prime, something more ancient stirred. The Prime Alpha, the undefeated champion of the Predators. 9 feet tall, armor fused with bone and molten metal. A face that no longer needed a mask. He had killed xenomorph queens with his bare hands. He had been watching Thor too. And unlike the others, he didn't want to kill the god. He wanted to recruit him. Back in the jungle, Thor didn't know all of this. But he could feel it. This wasn't war. This wasn't chaos. This was orchestration. Every tree, every movement, every delay in battle, it was all planned. They wanted to see how he moved, how he adapted, how he broke down when isolated. They weren't just hunting him. They were scanning him. Thor smashed through a waterfall, landing in a narrow ravine. The sky above was blood orange. Twin suns glared down like watchful eyes. His muscles ached, His lightning flickered in and out. His mind raced. But he refused to kneel. Not to fate. Not to monsters. He slammed his fist into the rock wall, yelling into the canyon, "What do you want from me?" And then a sound, different from before. A deep, low hum. Then words. But not Yautja language. Asgardian. Spoken through a voice modulator, broken and jagged. "God of thunder, you are worthy prey." Thor turned. A hologram flickered on the wall. A predator stood tall, its body glowing with runes. Runes copied from ancient Asgardian tombs. "We hunt strength. We honor it. You are the test." More images appeared, flashbacks. Thor at Ragnarok. Thor versus Hela. Thor raising Stormbreaker against Thanos. Each one was recorded, analyzed, measured. "You fight like a beast. You lose like a king. We learn from you." Thor narrowed his eyes. "You think I'm just a lesson? A trophy to hang on your wall?" "No." The voice grew colder. "You are the final hunt. The proving ground. For us. And for you." Before Thor could respond, the hologram cut. The jungle erupted. The trees split apart as 3 predator elites dropped into the ravine, weapons drawn. One held a twin-bladed glaive. Another had electrified chains wrapped around both arms. The third wielded a staff that emitted shockwaves with every movement. This wasn't an ambush. This was a duel. 1 on 3. The first attacked. Thor ducked the glaive, grabbed the chain, and swung the second predator into a rock wall. The third spun his staff, launching sonic pulses that disoriented Thor's senses. Blood dripped from Thor's nose. His hearing blurred. His lungs burned. But he laughed. "You're getting closer," he said, eyes glowing faintly. "But I'm still standing." Lightning surged, not from a sky, but from within him. He didn't need Mjolnir. He was the storm. With a roar, he leapt forward, fists crashing like thunderbolts, knocking the staff wielder back. He absorbed a glaive strike to the ribs, caught the blade, and snapped it in half over his knee. The predators backed off, regrouping. But they didn't retreat. They bowed, not in surrender, in recognition. The duel was over. Thor had passed another trial. From above, the sky shimmered. A massive ship broke through the clouds, black, silent, ancient. The insignia on it glowed deep red, a circular claw mark wrapping around a broken hammer. The ship belonged to the Prime Alpha. Thor looked up, breathing heavily, blood mixing with sweat. He wasn't just prey anymore. He was ascending into something else. And whatever the next trial was, he was ready. Thor was bleeding. That in itself wasn't unusual. He'd bled before in countless battles, across realms, against monsters, titans, and gods. But this time, it felt different. It felt real. Not divine pain. Not glorious battle wounds. But something deeper, slower. Like the planet itself was grinding down his godhood one breath at a time. Yautja Prime wasn't just a jungle planet. It was a living forge, shaped over centuries to break the strongest beings in the galaxy. The very air tasted of iron and static. The atmosphere was thick, tailored to suppress divine resonance. His lightning, once wild and infinite, now flickered like a dying flame. Thor leaned against the black bark of a spiraling tree, every inhale sharp as blades. His body was aching in ways it hadn't since the days before he was worthy. The battle with the elite predators had pushed him to his limits, and they hadn't even gone for the kill. Because this wasn't about death. This was about transformation. They were watching, always watching, through the trees, through the heat, through devices he couldn't see or sense. Every stumble, every decision, every breath, all of it analyzed. He tried calling to Stormbreaker again. Nothing. He screamed in frustration, slamming his fist into the ground, cracking the earth beneath. Silence answered. And in that silence, his doubt returned. Not the loud, fiery rage he once drowned in. This was colder. A whisper. What are you, without your hammer? Without your power? He didn't have an answer. He pushed forward anyway. He moved through the jungle, injured, alone, unarmed, past bioluminescent trees that pulsed like veins, through marshes that stung his skin, over rocks that screamed when stepped on. Every step was a test, not of strength, of endurance. He hadn't eaten in days, not real food. He didn't need much, but this place was draining him on all levels, physical, mental, spiritual. His godly stamina was being replaced by something unfamiliar. Hunger. Real hunger. He saw movement up ahead. Small. Four-legged. Reptilian. Thor lunged. It was fast. He was faster. He tackled it with the last burst of strength he had, wrestling it down, snapping its neck with trembling hands. He didn't know what it was. He didn't care. He carved it open with a jagged rock and ate raw flesh under alien stars. The blood sizzled on his lips, and still they watched. Hours blurred into days. Time worked differently here. The suns shifted too fast, casting long shadows, then blinding heat. The jungle seemed to rearrange itself. What was east became north. What was ground became sky. It was like walking through a nightmare written by war gods. But Thor adapted. He built traps from bones. He sharpened spears from alien tusks. He constructed a shelter inside the hollowed skull of a massive dead beast, using its ribs as defense walls. He learned to move without making a sound, to sense heat signatures, to fight without thunder. The god of thunder was becoming something else. He was becoming a hunter. One night, under crimson moons, Thor was ambushed. Not by a predator, by something worse. A trial beast, a creature bred specifically for hunts like these. A hybrid of xenomorph DNA and apex predators from multiple systems. It moved like a shadow, roared like a starship engine, and struck with bladed limbs coated in neurotoxin. It towered over Thor, snarling, mandibles twitching. A true monster. Thor didn't run. He stood. No hammer, no lightning, just fire in his blood and fury in his eyes. The creature lunged. Thor dodged, rolled, drove a sharpened bone spear into its leg. It screamed, swung its tail. He blocked with his forearm, bones cracking on impact. He climbed its back, drove his weapon deep into its neck, bit its shoulder when it tried to shake him off. Fought like an animal. Fought like he wanted to live more than he wanted to win. Finally, it fell, bleeding, dying, staring at him with eyes filled not with rage, but recognition. Thor stood over it, breathing hard, covered in blood, his and the beast's. Lightning sparked weakly along his skin. He looked into the sky and roared, not in pain, in defiance. And far above, from the cliffs overlooking the trial zones, the prime alpha predator watched the feed. His eyes narrowed. The others around him, elders, blooded warriors, even rivals, remained silent. This god hadn't just survived. He had evolved. Later that night, Thor sat near a fire he built from the trial beast bones. He didn't think about Earth, or Asgard, or even Stormbreaker. He thought about himself. He had been a warrior, a king, a brother, a failure, a god. But out here, stripped of it all, he was discovering something terrifying and beautiful. He was free. No burden of thrones. No weight of legacy. Just survival. Raw, real, unforgiving survival. He stared into the flames, and he smiled, because now he was ready for whatever came next. Let them come. Let them hunt. Let them test. Thor wasn't just prey anymore. He was the storm with teeth. The hunters didn't expect him to last this long. By now, most prey were either dead or broken. But Thor wasn't hiding anymore. He was hunting. The jungle had changed, or maybe he had. He no longer saw confusion. He saw patterns. Movement in the trees meant 3 hunters. A pause in the wind meant a drone was scanning from above. Every sound, every shadow, every vibration in the dirt was a signal. And Thor was listening. He had no hammer, no armor. His powers were still flickering, trapped in the haze of this cursed world. But he had something the predators didn't count on: centuries of war instinct. Odin hadn't raised a prince. He'd raised a survivor. Thor crouched beside a predator corpse, his first kill. It hadn't been easy. The fight had lasted hours. The warrior had been fast, ruthless, methodical. But Thor had used the terrain, the traps, the timing. He broke its mask, used its own spear to pierce its armor, and finally, crushed its skull with a boulder. He didn't celebrate. He studied. The armor was heavy, but adaptable. Bio-linked to Yautja DNA, Thor took the chest plate, gauntlet, and shoulder-mounted plasma caster. He couldn't activate the full tech, not yet. But the gauntlet had a simple function, cloaking. And now, for the first time, Thor disappeared into the jungle. The tables turned. Predators started dying. Not from distance, not from guns, but up close, brutal, silent, efficient. One was found hanging upside down in a tree, spine removed. Another impaled on his own spear trap. Another poisoned by a mix of alien venom and jungle fruit Thor had seen a reptile die from. The jungle whispered of a new apex. The elders were watching now, confused, impressed, concerned. This wasn't a warrior clinging to survival. This was a god rewriting the rules of their sacred hunt. The Prime Alpha didn't speak. He simply observed, his eyes glowing behind his mask. Thor carved his second kill's biomask in half and strapped one half to his face like a war trophy. His body was scarred, bruised, leaner, but his eyes burned brighter than ever. He wasn't just hunting them. He was learning from them. He cracked open one gauntlet's interface, tore apart its circuits, and rebuilt it using fragments of Predator tech and Asgardian principles still embedded in his blood. Within days, he created a crude but functioning storm capacitor. It stored the ambient electrical energy of the planet, feeding it back into his veins. It wasn't pure lightning, but it was enough. One night, Thor stood on a cliff, cloaked, waiting. A group of 4 predators moved below, cocky, armored, fresh bloods eager to earn their markings by killing the god. They didn't know he was already above them. He leapt. Lightning surged midair as he drove into their center like a meteor. The first died before it could react. The second fired, missed. Thor caught the bolt with his capacitor-charged gauntlet and sent it back, frying the warrior in a flash of light. The third fought harder, dual blades, fast, precise. Thor took a blade to the ribs, grunted, caught its arm mid-swing, and ripped it off, using it to stab the fourth in the throat. Then silence. For dead. No mercy. No hesitation. Thor dropped their weapons at the base of the cliff and burned their masks in a pyre. He wasn't showing disrespect. He was sending a message. The jungle watched. The drones tracked his every move. The trial zone was collapsing. What was meant to be a slow, ritualistic unraveling of a god had become a slaughterhouse for the hunters. A storm brewed above, not from Thor, from the planet. Nature responding to blood. Thunder rolled. The energy in the air crackled. And then it came. The Prime Alpha. No announcement, no escort, no honor duel. Just a break in the clouds, and a shadow descending from above. 9 feet tall, armor fused with the bones of kings. No mask, just a face marked by centuries of war. His claws were etched with runes from battles Thor had never even heard of. He said nothing. He only stared. And Thor, bleeding, shirtless, scarred, half covered in Predator armor, smiled. Because this was what he'd been reborn for. Not kingship, not legacy, combat. One final test. They circled each other, rain pouring, the jungle silent. Even the beasts knew this was the endgame. The Prime Alpha moved first, fast, impossibly fast. Thor dodged, blocked with the energy gauntlet, sparks flying. The Predator's claws grazed his jaw. Thor countered, slammed a bone blade into the Alpha's leg. It snapped on contact. The armor was denser than anything he'd faced. They traded blows. No tricks, no allies, just brute will. Thor landed a lightning punch to the chest. The Alpha staggered. The Alpha returned with a roar and a spinning elbow that shattered Thor's shoulder. They fell into mud, rolled, clawed, bit. This wasn't a duel. It was primal war. Finally, Thor fainted, grabbed a broken plasma caster, jammed it into the Alpha's side, and overloaded it. Boom. They were both thrown across the clearing. Silence. Then movement. The Prime Alpha rose slowly, blood pouring from his side. Thor stood too, barely. They stared again. The Alpha reached to his chest and pulled off a piece of his own armor. He extended it. An offer, not surrender. Respect. Thor walked forward, took the armor plate, and pressed his bloody palm to it. The sky rumbled. The jungle screamed. A new title was earned. Thor, God of Thunder, Hunter of Hunters, the Predator King. Thunder rolled across the alien sky. Thor stood in the center of the blood-soaked arena, shirtless, half covered in Predator armor, flesh torn but soul intact. The Prime Alpha lay at his feet, not dead, but defeated. A thin stream of green blood trickled from the Predator's mouth as he looked up at the god who refused to fall. All around them, the Yautja stood in silence. Dozens, maybe hundreds, elders, warriors, blooded champions, all watching. One of their greatest had been beaten, not with technology, not with trickery, but with honor. Thor didn't roar in victory. He didn't demand a ship or cry out for Stormbreaker. He simply reached down and offered his hand. The Prime Alpha took it. In that moment, something ancient passed between them. Not just mutual respect, but something the Predators had only given to a rare few in all their history. Recognition. A warrior beyond species. A god who had bled like a beast. A hunter who had earned his place in the stars. Thor helped the Prime Alpha to his feet. The surrounding Predators slammed their fists to their chests. Not as a salute to the Prime. Not as a warning to Thor. Not as prey. Not even as a rival. But as one of them. Later, as the rain washed the blood from his arms, Thor stood on a ledge overlooking the jungle. The same jungle that had nearly broken him. Lightning danced across the clouds. His lightning, stronger now, more focused, no longer wild and divine. It had evolved just like he had. A small ship hovered behind him. Open hatch. One of the elders stepped forward, motioning. A way out. Back to Earth. Back to Asgard. Back to whatever was left of that life. Thor stepped forward, paused. The galaxy would never know what happened here. There'd be no songs, no statues. No Avengers waiting. No Sif. No Odin. No Jane. Out there, he was a god trying to prove he still mattered. But here, he was just what he needed to be. Tested. Honed. Accepted. Alive. He turned away from the ship. The elder tilted his head, confused. Thor spoke calmly, with finality. Tell your kind, I am not leaving. Not yet. Whispers passed between the ranks. I've fought for thrones. I've bled for realms. I've chased glory, vengeance, redemption. Now I want something else. He looked out at the dark jungle, where something inhuman howled in the distance. Purpose. I stay. The Prime Alpha nodded. Slowly, he stepped forward, removed a piece of his chest armor, the insignia of his tribe, and handed it to Thor. Thor strapped it on. A new symbol burned across it, not of a hammer, but of a storm made of blades. Not just God, not just hunter, Predator King. In the weeks that followed, the rituals began. Thor was trained in their deepest traditions. He learned the sacred hunts, those that no outsider had ever survived. He was given access to their archives, histories etched in fire and bone. He didn't rule them. He didn't want to. He walked among them equal, silent, deadly. And when new warriors sought their rite of passage, they were told to find the lightning ghost in the jungle. Some returned marked. Some returned broken. None returned unchanged. Because Thor didn't just survive the hunt. He became the new myth of it. Back on Earth, rumors spread in whispers. Cosmic tremors. Vanishing hunters. Alien signals tracing back to a star system no ship could enter and leave unchanged. The Guardians searched. Fury called on old contacts. Even Loki, across space and time, sensed something shifting. But no one found Thor. Because Thor wasn't lost. He had chosen this. A realm without thrones. Without prophecy. Just instinct, fire, blood, and the hunt. One night, under the twin moons, the Prime Alpha stood beside him. They ask if you will return. To your stars, your hammer, your war." Thor said nothing for a long time. Then he smiled. "I am still the storm. I just don't need to chase it anymore." The Alpha growled in agreement, then pointed. Another trial, another threat. A Leviathan, bred in exile, had broken free in the deep forest. Too large, too old. No one else could face it. But they had him now. Thor grabbed his new blade, a fusion of Predator steel and URU metal salvaged from his own blood. He leapt into the dark. No ship, no suit, no plan. Just a storm of thunder, lightning, and rage wrapped in a new kind of silence. And the jungle welcomed him, because in the eyes of the hunt, Thor was home.